Warning, the following communications are not authorized. Please disable your signals and report to your local re-education center immediately. Failure to comply will result in immediate reprimand and capital punishment.
The sanctity of the COVID warning. Eric, I can't see you. How come I can't see you? Are you there?
I can see you. I can hear you.
I can't see you, Eric.
Oh, we're doing the
Jordana,
car thing again.
can you hear me?
What's up?
I can't hear anyone. What's going on? Can you guys hear me?
No, I can hear you perfectly.
What a great start.
No, but
I can't hear you guys.
Can't hear
but
Leonarda.
apparently,
can you hear me?
You can hear me.
So, all right, we got quite a mess here.
Okay, that's good. I see that we're doing the thing again. So we can't see Eric on this feed, but we're here anyways. So we can hear everybody. Everybody's good. We're going to start off with some Dr. Fauci stuff, and it's going to be good. And when we play that, I'm going to try to fix the audio trouble. But let's go ahead and set up this clip, Eric. I know you're big on Dr. Fauci right now. He was on CNN answering these questions. He did sort of a media tour last night, and he avoided some questions. Some networks were friendly to him. Other networks were less friendly, but still, I think kind of everybody kissed his ass a little. So let's go ahead and play this clip, and we'll see what we're rocking with.
There was an email on April 16th, an email exchange between you and NIH Director Francis Collins. The email sent to you said conspiracy theory gains momentum. And this, again, was the idea of the lab leak. Those emails, though, as you can see on the screen, or I can see on the screen, was all redacted between you and Francis Collins. Do you happen to remember? Do you remember what was in the email?
John, they only took about 10,000 emails from me. Of course, I remember. I remember all 10,000 of them. Give me a break.
So, but to be clear, you're saying you don't remember, you can't tell us what was in the body of that exchange.
I don't remember what's in that redacted, but the idea, I think, is quite far-fetched that the Chinese deliberately engineered something so that they could kill themselves as well as other people. I think that's a bit far out, John.
Eric, how far-fetched is it really? Is China super nice that we can't believe that this is such a story?
Well, obviously, it's not that far-fetched at all. So the first thing about this, though, is that he's just so smug. Like he's laughing, he's joking about it. Like, of course, I remember all 10,000 emails. It's like, dude, you have put this country and the world even through a whirlwind, complete nonsense, lies, all sorts of things that you already knew about. And then you just joke like, of course I remember all 10,000 emails. That's the first thing. And then for him to say that it's far-fetched for the Chinese government to kill off a couple of their own people to gain more power. I mean, we're talking now. I am not the expert on China. I'm no Steve Bannon, but I mean, we had these forced abortions and all sorts of weirdo communist things. So no, your joke is not funny, and no, it's not that far-fetched for the commies to kill off a couple of their own to gain a little bit more power. Wait, now
I didn't hear anything from her, Eric. I think we might have to go out and come back in one at a time and get this party restarted.
It's funny, though, because she can hear.
How about now?
Is this any?
Oh, you were there for a second.
I can hear you.
Andrew.
Yeah, I can hear her slightly now, but
you're coming in and out, but
I can hear her, but it's pretty faint. This is getting hilarious and sad.
What happened? I mean, how come she can hear us, but we can't hear her?
I can hear you guys perfectly, but you can't hear me.
Now I
She
can
can
hear
hear us
you.
perfectly. Let's just
I heard that.
Okay.
I don't know. Let's move on a little bit and try to do it. If she can hear us perfectly, then we'll have to leave some sort of
Can the audience hear her?
some
Because
sort of
I can
gap
hear her
between
now.
speaking. So we got another video from him though, and we'll do that instead of bogging down everybody. He was on, I think, this guy's show who used to be on Fox. I forget his name, Dr. Fauci, and he's talking in this clip about the email where he says masks aren't very useful, everybody, and masks are not effective in stopping the virus. The paper masks that you get at the store, and he's advising someone who's not a nobody. I forget this woman's job, but she's she's very high up in an organization. I wish I remembered off the top of my head, but he's giving her personal advice. There's no point. You're not sick. You don't need this. So let's go ahead and hear him justify this. I think it's pretty interesting.
Maybe you could provide that context for us. This from you about masks. The typical mask you buy in the drugstore is not really effective in keeping out the virus, which is small enough to pass through the material. Conceivably, even cloth masks allow even more things through. Were you incorrect then? I'm trying to understand the evolution of that.
Well, let me explain, and it's really important because it is a complicated issue. At the time that we were saying it wasn't necessary to be wearing masks, there were three things that were going on. One of them was there was a consideration that there was a shortage of personal protective equipment, particularly among people who actually needed the masks, those who were taking care of patients in the hospital. So we were encouraged let me finish. You have a skeptical look on your eye. Let me finish. And is that we were told at the level of the discussions in the situation room, even by the Surgeon General, that there was a problem. We didn't want to have people running to the stores and getting N95s or even any other mask. There wasn't any indication, number two, that masks outside of the setting of the hospital actually worked to protect acquisition and prevent transmission. It ultimately showed that it did, but there were no data then.
So I guess the question would be this. Hold on, but just why the certitude, though? It seems as though so often we were told things by you and by others from the White House podium and other places in interviews. Do you wish perhaps there would have been a little bit more of we don't know, but this is what we think, rather than these extraordinarily clear edicts and directions that later turned out to perhaps not be true?
Well, if you could show me that email again, put it up, we could go over it. I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, we'll see if the control room can put this up. Yeah. The typical mask you buy in the drugstore is not really effective in keeping out the virus, which is small enough to pass through the material.
Yeah. So the typical mask that you would buy in a drugstore, namely the non-N95, the ones that don't fit very well, you're right. The way that is written can be misinterpreted in a way, and I probably should have added a few more sentences, because one of the issues that if you go into a drugstore and get a typical mask and put it on, it generally doesn't fit particularly well.
We've all learned that over the past year, for sure.
So I should probably have been more explicit. You're right, and said there are a number of aspects to it, including the poor fitting. So if you want me to say,
and I do like watching him squirm,
that email over again, I would have written a lot more sentences in there. By the way, who was that email to? You see, that's the thing. How things are taken out of context. Do you grant me that?
I grant.
Are you granting him that, Eric? That everything's out of context and everything's. Yeah, I can hear you, Jordana. Or Leonarda. So I don't know where I'm getting Jordana from. I think I've said that like 3 times. I'm sorry.
My old people that I hang out with will do that. They'll start calling me all kinds of names that end in A.
Jordana, Leonarda,
right, now
Donatella, something like that.
I think we've worked
Eric,
it out.
are we granting him any benefit of the doubt on any of these topics?
Obviously not. How's the feedback? Sorry, we're gonna get this squared away. I promise.
Now Eric's audio is messed up. Now he's the problem. Eric, you gotta leave and come back in. Leonardo, should we grant him anything?
Here, let me chime in on this. He's full of shit. This guy. All right. He's completely. His email specifically says that the masks that you aren't going to do anything, right? And now he's saying, I see how that can be misconstrued. We can actually understand what you're saying. We're misconstruing what that's what you're saying. Meanwhile, when everybody was mandating masks, they were like, any kind of mask, get even a scarf and put it over your face. Nobody said anything about a fitted N95. So he's lying, dude. He's been caught. I don't know if I can we, or is this a swearing show or a non-swearing show?
It's specifically a swearing show.
He was caught with his dick in his hand, and he's like, what? I'm not masturbating. I'm just rubbing my dick. It's like, cut it out.
Okay. We've appeared to have solved all the audio issues. I told Leonarda to speak up. We don't need that anymore. The audio is going in good. She's now yelling at me. Eric, now that everything's good and we don't look as pathetic, how...
It's authentic. It's authentic. It's live. We'll do it live.
It's live. We'll do it live. That was Alex Jones mixed with what's his
Bill
face
O'Reilly,
there?
I think. I don't know.
No, so a year later, everything. Oh, it's different. And to me, when you say, "Oh, we had the mask shortage, so it's okay to say that," you're basically admitting that he lies. So what else doesn't he lie about? And he's going to lie in a personal email to somebody. Help me out, Eric, please.
Well, I mean, it's true. Like he's been completely caught red-handed. The media is gonna spin it. Like I think was it don't quote me, like one of those CNN women who was like, well, this just proves that you're a nice guy. And I'm like, wait, hold on. So you knew about the lab leak theory, you knew about the mask, you knew about all this stuff, but you went with it anyway. And in that particular clip that we just saw there, he tries to make it seem like it's this big complicated issue. He's like, well, it's complicated, so what I'll tell you is that, and it's all word salad. And he's been doing that since the very beginning. I had the pleasure of watching some of those task force press conferences, which I don't know, maybe have fallen by the wayside a little bit, but it was just 4 people up there with this complete word salad nonsense about how the virus is racist and they need to reach out to communities. There was one where the underserved communities need help, and it's like, wait, so what does that mean, underserved? Like if you go to Flatbush, Brooklyn, like there's not a bus. It didn't make sense, right? So are you telling me that in the Upper West Side, in the most, or like one of the better parts of New York, right, that there's doctors' offices on every block, and everybody has, you don't have to walk 2 blocks to get to a hospital, but in the hood, none of it made any sense. They were just throwing things at the wall to see what stuck. And now, when you look at Instagram, you'll notice that they're saying that certain memes are taken out of context, right? So people are posting that little girl who says, "I'm reading the Fauci leaks," and they're like, "Those weren't leaks. It was a FOIA request." And it's like, you're completely missing the point. And that's what they do. They play the word games. They build up these euphemisms. It's a mess, bro. Like it actually infuriates me, man. Oh, it's disgusting.
I want to read another one of the emails, and then Leonardo will get your reaction to that. This is from an article I wrote because I saw like all the mainstream articles were about like, oh, have you seen the emails, you guys? Here's what's actually in them, and it doesn't show like the good emails. So here's one where a guy is emailing him stating that he doesn't believe the China death numbers, right? So he's Dr. Eric Nilsson. He's a CEO of a company called BioSignal. I'm so glad I put all the information in there for myself to read. He says to him, "I'm confident that China stopped counting," and he's got a lot of spelling mistakes, "stopped counting dead COVID-19 infected bodies since January 7th, 2020. They've been adding fabricated data to show daily, to save face to the world and their own people an impressive flattering of China outbreak curve." That's why he's a scientist, not a great writer. So basically he's saying, I've got all this data saying that they're fudging their numbers. They're just trying to save face and look good for everybody. So please read all this. There's a huge chunk that's redacted. And he says, The data that posted by China is not only garbage, it's misled the world into a false sense of security regarding their death rate. Fauci responds to the email, which was actually 2 emails, because he says, here's an easier one for you to read. He just responds with, too long for me to read. That's all he says, Eric. And it looks like we lost Leonarda right when we needed her most.
Where'd she go? Well, either way,
I don't know.
Hopefully she'll be back. I don't know why we've had so many technical difficulties this go round, but she is. It's actually mind-boggling how, I mean, there are people like me and you who literally knew this the whole time. And look, we're beating the dead horse. I think we all know that there are common sense people all across the world who are like, wait, this doesn't add up. And now it's coming out and they still won't let it go. They're still saying like, well, it was complicated and the data changed and the science changed. It's like, dude, give it, like, let it go, bro. Like, you got caught. Yeah, it's Eric, over.
There's a lot of people who aren't where we are. I mean, we just had somebody in the chat, right? So this is just a conspiracy central, bunch of boomers. No, buddy, being a conspiracy theorist is not a boomer. Nice try, China paid bot.
Nice. We gotta have haters, though. Love it. Gotta have some haters.
We're gonna insult you by calling you a boomer. First of all, the boomers are the ones who are sitting there tuned in front of CNN, MSNBC, and Fox and not listening to anything else except like what they're streaming directly into their heads. So relax over there. Secondly, you know, there are people who lack any ability to critically analyze these skills. Like Eric, you and I were talking about this last year. We're like, oh, this was made from China. This was an intentional bioweapon. And absolutely the communists would kill their own people. I mean, that's what communism is. You always kill your own people to get whatever agenda you want. So there's all these people, though, who they will tune in to MSNBC and CNN and all these people to, they don't know that they're doing it, but unconsciously what they're saying is, hey, tell me what I'm supposed to say, because all my crazy conspiracy friends and conservatives are going to come at me and are going to say, hey, did you see Fauci's email? So I need a response. They're not coming to find information. They're coming to know, okay, what's the new line? What's the new line of
They got to get their download. They get their download.
They get their download, and you're going to see it inevitably. You talk to these people this week, you will see them repeat, literally, you will see them repeat the exact same things you saw on CNN. Oh, but that's not what he meant. You're misconstruing it. They will say it verbatim without even understanding what they're talking about.
Yeah, it's scary. And I think, and I always try to keep the faith. I was saying in a stream last night on Instagram, it's like every time something like this happens, whether it's the Fauci emails or a number of things that basically will prove a common sense person right, I think it's gonna wake people up. And maybe it does. Maybe a couple people are like, whoa, that doesn't add up. I mean, it's like when I got hit with an individual mandate back in the Obama years, I was like, whoa, I don't like this guy. And then I was like, okay, let's pay a little bit more closer attention. But I like to keep the faith that perhaps this does wake people up, but there's always going to be those. I mean, unfortunately, there are boomers. Like my parents are somewhere in Oakland, California with 2 TVs, one playing MSNBC and the other playing CNN, depending on which room you go to in the house. So, and it is scary, but you know, a boomer doesn't necessarily have to navigate the ins and outs of this collapsing economy and try to keep a job and keep moving. It's like, all right, well, whatever, like we'll just go walk the dog and go back home. Like they don't care. They don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Here's another email, which is another interesting one. It's somebody just loving Fauci for saying that it did not come from a lab, that it caused from like the bat story, basically. His name is Peter Daszak. He is I think he's the president or something. He's from Eco Health Alliance, it's called, and they're funded by the NIH. And he says, I just wanted to say a personal thank you on behalf of our staff and collaborators. And I mentioned to somebody today, collaborator is not a good word to use in these instances. For publicly standing up and stating that the scientific evidence supports a natural origin for the virus from bat to human spillover, not a lab release from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. From my perspective, your comments are brave, and coming from your trusted voice will help dispel the myths being spun around the virus origins. And he replies with, many thanks for your kind note. Best regards, Tony. I'm really surprised he doesn't just end his emails with the letter T, like Hillary does with H, and so many people do. If you know who David Menzies is, he ends it with an M sometimes, and I have to, commit elder abuse. But so now you'll notice that like people aren't being banned left, right, and center for talking about this stuff. Probably 2 weeks ago, you would be if you were to even pontificate about any of this stuff. So before we move on, I want to get your guys' opinion. Do you think Tony Fauci speaks in these emails like he knows they're going to come out? Some of the stuff he just ignores, a lot of the emails, and surprisingly, they're all from BuzzFeed. Maybe they want to save some face for their news department, but like some of them, it sounds like he wants to ignore on purpose. Some of them, it seems like he's panicked because they're finding out that they're still funding this stuff, even when after they've manipulated the virus and learned that it can attach to airwaves. Maybe I should read that one. Eric, you want to chime in here?
Well, I don't know if Fauci knew. I mean, I'm sure he knows that his governmental emails can be exposed at any time, right? So I think, and I didn't read every single email, but I think there's also some notes in there where they're like, call me immediately, which will eliminate the the fear of having these certain messages leaked out. But this is crazy to me because I learned about the gain of function research probably late last year, or maybe like January, like just watching Bannon and talking to some people. And it's crazy because they've been talking about the walls closing in on Fauci for the longest time, and you just don't really believe it. Like you're like, well, okay. I mean, the mainstream media is never really going to come for Fauci. Even now today, they're not really coming for him. They're just kind of throwing a little bit of red meat to normal people to sort of get their eyes off of the border crisis or the crashing dollar or whatever it might be. And this NIH and this Eco Health Alliance, like I knew about all that stuff a long time ago, but yeah, if I would have posted that to my Instagram, I'm sure I would have been banned, months ago. So it is a little bit, it does give me a little bit of hope that this stuff is finally coming to light, but to bring it full circle, there are still probably millions of people out there who will just put their head back in the sand and do whatever the TV tells them to do.
Here's the panicky stuff. And he says, this is Fauci saying, Q, it's essential we speak this morning. Keep your cell phone on. I have a conference call with some guy. It'll be over by then. That time. Read this paper as well as the email I forward to you. Thanks, Tony. And the paper he attached was titled A SARS-like cluster of circulating bat coronaviruses shows potential for human emergence. And the abstract for that study, which is a few years old, by the way, using the SARS-CoV reverse genetic system, we generated, and I think that's the key word, we generated and characterized a chimeric virus expressing the spike of bat coronavirus in a mouse-adapted SARS-CoV backbone. The results indicate that that group 2B viruses encoding the whatever code spike in a wild-type backbone can efficiently use, and this is a lot of science-y speak, but it replicates efficiently in primary human airway cells. And so basically what they're saying is it's equivalent to epidemic strains. So they're saying they've manipulated this virus. We generated and characterized chimeric viruses, which would be combining different things. And it's replicating exponent to epidemic strains in human airway cells. Jordana, is this as crazy as we all think it is?
You mean Leonarda?
Oh my God! I don't even know where Jordana came from. I don't even know where Jordana came from. I honestly don't.
Like Jordana Brewster?
I feel like I'm being yelled at by someone from Queens. Are you from Queens?
I'm from the Bronx, so close enough.
All right, that's pretty good of me. I'm pretty good with accents and stuff. So, like I was saying, is this like the smoking gun as much as we think it is, or is it like because the people who are like promoting this stuff, like publicizing it, are the ones who probably already knew about it?
It's 100% a smoking gun. The issue is we have so many smoking guns. We've had smoking guns for over a year now. What happens is like people don't understand how much the mainstream news media controls reality, because we'll have all of these things, but then based on how they cover it, it will either seep down to the masses and there'll be a reaction, or there won't. I mean, just look at what happened with like BLM and Antifa last summer, right? The reality was that you had these violent groups who were out there destroying neighborhoods, and the report was it's a mostly peaceful protest. And a lot of people believed that because they weren't there. They didn't see it, So it is a smoking gun. The question becomes like, what are the people going to do? And that we don't need to keep waiting for like, the gatekeepers to tell us it's okay. We'll handle this. No, you won't. And I don't know if you guys know, but there was that whole simulation that they did when they did the SPARS simulation, where they were like, oh, what if coronavirus got out? In that simulation, they talk about how like the lead public scientist would be scapegoated, like eventually, like they would take the heat for the public's reaction to knowing that
and
this
wasn't
virus,
even really
was
that
made in the
long
lab
ago,
or what.
correct? Like that simulation wasn't really
It
that
wasn't.
long. Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
It was October 2019. It was 2019, October 2019.
So it was literally like 5 months before this whole thing happened. Like,
right.
So,
and they said that this was going to happen. Exactly what's happening to Fauci right now was spelled out in the document.
What was it called? I'll try to fact check us here.
It was
remember that clip from that movie too, by the way, that weird movie where the CNN guy was there and they
was it Contagion with Matt Damon?
Is that what it was? Perhaps, but
I couldn't even watch it because what was it called?
I think
Leonarda. I had to look at her name there.
This guy can't get it right.
It was like the SPARS. Like I think it was SPARS. Look that up, and then it was October 2019. It was a simulation.
So can I just say briefly though about now, just to like, I don't want to say devil's advocate, but in their defense a tiny bit, and this is probably an unpopular opinion, I truly don't even feel like this thing is that deadly. Like all this science talk and gain of function and stuff, like in my tinfoil hat, I really feel like guys like Cuomo and Whitmer and that weirdo out in Pennsylvania were doing something far more sinister than accidentally sending COVID patients into nursing homes and then it spread like wildfire. I just don't believe that it was actually that deadly. But again, I haven't been affected by it. Everybody has a story about their mom and their brother and their little sister's boyfriend and all that stuff.
The one.
So this is the plan. This is the blueprint.
Right.
Well, I haven't read it yet. So.
Right, well. So my understanding, Eric, is that when a new virus comes onto the scene, it's the most deadly when it's brand new. So
those early days.
Those early days, that's why you had a lot of people who were dying. I think the other part is they weren't like it was a brand new virus, so it definitely was attacking people in a very like acute way. Later on, like basically the human system is very smart despite everything they try to tell you, and it learns and it adapts, and then the virus also weakens. But in the beginning, it was super deadly, and then they weren't doing any of the things like the hydroxychloroquine, the vitamin D, all that stuff.
Can't say
and
that.
They were letting people.
Just got us banned. I think that is a bad
not
word.
Anymore, man.
They do not like that one. And then just for the record, though, we all remember those videos, and this is what makes me super skeptical. Is we all remember those videos of people dropping dead on the streets in China and people walking around in hazmat suits spraying Lysol in the air.
Propaganda.
Yeah,
that was pure propaganda from China. That's CCP propaganda.
Exactly. But that's what
they wouldn't do anything. Is it realistic?
Wouldn't do any of that stuff. But that's what makes it so hard to decipher what's real and what's not when they throw everything at the wall. Huh?
One at a time, you guys. One at a time.
Who asked a question? Hey, do you really think a government that has killed millions of its own people would kill like a few thousand of its people to get the upper leg in this race? That sounds crazy. That sounds crazy to me.
Yeah, that's super far-fetched.
Everyone from New York has this impression of Fauci. I'm guessing you also have an impression of Bernie Sanders.
Well, I'm not from New York.
Sure, but they probably sound the same.
The trillion is
Bernie and Cuomo and Fauci. They're all like it's all kind of the same. But I look, this whole Fauci emails, this virus. I mean, look, to be honest with you, I was done with the virus in April of 2020. I was like, this is nonsense, bro. I was over it for more than a year. So I suggest we move on.
Impossible. We're going to move on to journalist Andy Ngo. He has been attacked again, brutally again this time. We can bring up an article here that Eric was kind enough to send over from the Washington Examiner, who's generally pretty good, I think. Journalist Andy Ngo says masked Antifa mob attacked him in Portland again, baying for my blood. So to my understanding, Eric, he went in disguise to cover Antifa as he usually does. They uncovered his mask. They chased him to a hotel where he was hiding. And there's video, I believe. He was hiding behind a desk, and they were threatening him, banging on the windows, and eventually police had to come and protect him. It's the long and short of it. And then Tim Pool came out and was saying, basically victim mentality for you here. You shouldn't be going out if you know you're going to be attacked like that. What's the point? He says, what's purpose was served by trying to infiltrate Antifa? Some journalists can't cover certain topics. Women were barred from reporting from Tahrir by some outlets due to violence against women specifically. So basically, in my eyes, he's saying you shouldn't be doing wartime reporting. You shouldn't be doing anything that's dangerous. And a lot of people chimed in. Elad from Barely Informed with Elad.
Yeah, what does Elad have to say there?
Instead of pointless and stupid, I think you mean courageous and dedicated. Andy's coverage is invaluable. When journalists are killed by terrorists, we don't insult them. We praise them for their commitment. Also, easy to say this stuff when you retire to the studio. I don't know if Tim's confused, but half his show is using footage from the ground reporters who regularly get threatened and attacked. And he wasn't the only one. Caitlin Bennett came out here, says she shouldn't have been wearing a skirt and been walking down that alley. Tim Pool really didn't like that one. He quote tweeted that and made fun of her. Elijah Schaefer, which somebody liked. I don't know who that was. Look, I have a hard time reporting for similar reasons. It's dangerous. I mean, yeah, Elijah's been to Seattle and Portland and to the Chaz zones. And to say that, you know what, Elijah, you deserve to have that Molotov thrown in your direction or punched is silly to me. Styx Hexenhammer, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. Guy who wears a leather jacket, never wears a shirt, but he's pretty popular. He's got 82,000 followers there. But Tim, all Andy has to do is exist to be attacked. Antifa have attacked other people, sometimes sympathetic to leftism, just looking for vaguely him. Yeah, there's an Asian guy that they once attacked because they thought he was Andy Ngo, and it wasn't. And while I'm going to bring up the Andy Ngo's actual story here, Leonardo DiCaprio, why don't you give us what are your thoughts on this? Right, wrong, who's right in this situation?
I mean, I was going to make a joke. I was going to say, like, how many times does Andy Ngo want to get wrecked by Antifa? But I, like, at this, if nobody's doing the job and he's the one who's doing the job, then somebody's got to report on what's happening. Would I do it? I don't know. This guy's really sacrificing himself a lot. You know what I mean? Like, if beat me up once, beat me up twice, I'm out of here, Is Tim Pool right to say that? No, he's not right to say that. He's not, because that's his job. It's like, the person's responsible because you shouldn't have been wearing that skirt. Exactly right. These guys should be dealt with. They shouldn't be like, well, don't go around them. I mean, what kind of lunacy are we in? Are we living in, like, they're talking about how women weren't allowed to report on this radical Islamic group, I take it. Yeah. What are we now? We're Iraq? We're Iraq now? Is that what you're saying, Tim? That's crazy.
And I think
Eric, yeah, go ahead.
Well, as a frequent viewer of Tim's show, I think it's pretty, I don't know if it's ironic for him, because, I mean, for years he's talked about not bending the knee and not capitulating to the left, and then Andy gets beat up and he's like, you shouldn't have been there. It's like, okay, like, and on top of that, on top of sort of the maybe a little bit of hypocrisy on Tim's part, It's like he literally makes videos every single day about standing up and suing businesses that force race stuff on you and force you to get the jab and all sorts of things. Outside of just saying, well, you shouldn't have been there, and that little bit of hypocrisy, I think they are both being a little bit emotional here, right? Like, I don't know if you guys saw Tim's video that he, not his regular YouTube videos, but his thing that he posted on Instagram where he's like doing a little selfie video about how that was silly of Andy and Andy shouldn't have been out there. It was very emotional. And Andy was on Laura Ingraham, also fairly emotional. Now, Andy No is kind of like, no shade. I like Andy. He does good work, but he's a little soft, right? Like he's kind of soft, and he's like, well, I've been reporting on Antifa since 2012, and he's got his like.
He does not have a British accent.
he does have like a weird gay British accent, but that's not the point. The point is, Tim, I think, was wrong and kind of hypocritical to say that, but I also think that they were both acting a little bit emotionally, and they're both great journalists. They both do good work, and obviously they're not going to see eye to eye on this. Now, with that said, I would not. now I'm going to sound like a hypocrite. I just wouldn't recommend that Andy go back to Portland. I mean, it's like, dude, yeah. they literally, like, he knows it, right? Like, he knows they spray paint on the walls in Portland, like, kill Andy No. So, I mean, right. There does come a little bit of a line, but for Tim to act like Andy was just completely stupid for doing that was a little hypocritical, in my opinion.
I love how they talk like they're military. I've always loved that about Antifa, when they scream medic and the people come and do the worst job ever. From an operational standpoint, how do you let Milkshake Andy escape after you tackle him and have him on the ground? We were battling in the fucking
hold on.
Dieppe.
So this is basically saying, why didn't you kill him?
Essentially. He fucked around and found out. Like, all these cool, super cool, far left people who wouldn't be any type of threatening individual on their own. They found the ability to gather together as a group and be faux tough people. And basically the only way they are successful is by stomping people out when they're already down on the ground. So
is there any way out of this? Just like, I mean, obviously, Trump couldn't stop them. Joe Biden definitely can't stop them. Like, this is on us, right? Like, there's no way around these people. How do we stop them?
They have to do something. Like they
Wait, say again.
Can't say it live, but you bring a little of the Bronx to Portland. A little bit of the Bronx to Portland. We'll see how tough these guys are. You want to be a tough
guy? Okay.
I mean, if they were really from harsh neighborhoods, and like they used to say, go riot in the hood and see what happens to you, Antifa. And and it didn't even have to be the hood. When they were rioting last year in Hollywood, somebody busted an NBA player's car window and he beat the crap out. Well, he didn't beat the crap out of him. I don't want to say that. He basically threw him and threatened him. He was like 6'7", and like, what are you thinking? So it doesn't take that much.
Who was that? I remember that. I forget which player that was. He might be like very recently retired now, like, 33 years old, which is like old for NBA. You know what I mean? Like, I remember that story. And yes, that needs to start happening more. And I pray, I hope that we do. I mean, and just like you guys said, though, they have attacked people who are on the left. I mean, it's like, if you don't capitulate to every single thing, you could just be like, well, maybe, you know what, actually, I'm going to have a cheeseburger today, and you're not going to be vegan for the rest of your life. Then they will beat you with a bat, even though you could have been out rioting with them the night before. So it's a crazy militant organization, and they do need to be taken care of, but it's not looking good right now.
All right, I'm going to transfer to something that you guys might not have heard about, but I get emails, at least 5 emails a day about this every single day for the past 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, has it been that long?
Wow. Yes. Oh, wow. There is a woman who released videos, I think in November, claiming to be the new Queen, Prime Minister, and Commander-in-Chief of Canada, and people are actually believing it. She's got a Telegram group with 15,000 followers, and people email me every day. Is this true? You guys need to look into this. How come you're not talking about this? I'm going to talk about it now, and I'm going to let you guys have a break here so you don't even have to be associated with this. Tell me if any of this is even believable. Okay, I'm going to read it as it. I'm going to tell you this. Imagine this is me, Andrew Says, saying this to you. I, Andrew Says, head of state and commander in chief, head of government in Canada, and king of Canada, find the conduct of Officer Cadet Ladislav Kenderesi, which is a guy who got stripped of his rank. He was an officer cadet, so he was in training of being an officer. He went to a protest in uniform and started talking bad about the country, and can't do that, especially not in uniform. You're a guy who's been in the military for a couple of months, so just for context. Under an extraordinary circumstance, understanding, courageous, and commendable by alerting the men, women, and children of Canada to the intentions of genocide, treason, bioterrorism, and crimes against humanity perpetuated in Canada. With the power vested in me as Commander-in-Chief, Head of Government of Canada, and King of Canada, I hereby dismiss in full all 5 charges against him, effective immediately. Further, return his uniform to him immediately, effective today. I hereby recommend that the cadet be awarded the highest military honor for courage and bravery. Signed and sealed, Queen Lady Romana Didulo, and signs as Head of State, Commander-in-Chief, Head of Government of Canada, Queen of Canada. So if any of that sounds insane to any of you people, then you're fine. Then you understand that sounds insane. But if you believe any of that, of just me reading that off a piece of paper, there might be something wrong with you. I can't deal with, I'm exaggerating here, but I can't deal with the emails of the, and this maybe, Eric, this is where we're.
Oh, no.
I turned myself off. No, this is where we're at in society here today, is that things are so crazy, people are actually believing this. Everything I just read verbatim is of the posts that she's been posting in her Telegram group. I hereby dismiss these charges against this guy who committed mutiny against the military and all sorts of other crimes. I've got more for you guys if you'd like to hear them.
Well, can I just I get it because you've been inundated with these emails, so you're turned up about it, but we've had people for the past year who've been walking around outside with masks. They told you that you couldn't get within 6 feet of somebody. You're gonna your grandma. Well, every single political, every single politician is literally breaking their own rules, and they all still walked in lockstep and they believed it. So if somebody else comes out and says, "I'm the government now," they believe it. It's not that far.
I'm the captain now.
It does suck that you have to answer the same email 100 times.
Oh, I don't respond to them.
Okay.
Here's another one. Here's just a blatant lie. In an unprecedented historic event in Canadian politics, 327 quietly announced their retirement as MPs from public service on May 25th. The retirement of the largest contingent of Canadian MPs, which is member of Parliament Americans, our fun British system. With these 327 MPs voting to suspend elections in Canada indefinitely until there's no longer a pandemic. So she just goes on and just makes this stuff up out of thin air. It's crazy talk. And we had to deal with Canadian conspiracies like Justin Trudeau's wearing an ankle monitor, but you can't show it because there's a bulge in his pant leg.
Yeah, we had those too. We definitely had those.
Joe Biden's been served by the FBI.
Oprah wearing ankle monitors here.
Oh yeah, Ellen and Oprah were on their own island. They were arrested. She's even committed crimes. I'll show you this one now. But she's on her Telegram.
I'm sorry.
Group. That's okay. By tomorrow morning, we'll have specific chat group where Canadians can post the names and location of all governments, doctors, pharmacists, schools, teachers, businesses who continue. So she wants to dox everybody who pushes vaccine. You can't just incite people to do that. That's an actual crime. And I think I have one more here. I don't want to expose my whole computer here by showing it, but she also made the claim that the Pope has been killed. So it's just literally anything. The real Pope Francis and 31 cardinals were all shot on sight. Vatican was the children's sex trafficking ringmaster. And people, if you actually go to her, see, look, 14.1 thousand subscribers. This is the other day. My friend Dave sends me these links, screenshots, and I'm just like, and then I post the emails we get back. And it's just stuff like this. The Pope has been shot, and people are just like, is this real? Can you verify this? How come I'm not seeing anybody talk about this? Am I losing my mind, you guys?
Yes, you are, because we just saw an entire year of people making things up out of thin air. This whole thing is based on the fact that asymptomatics. The point I'm trying to make is, yes, people have been grabbing things out of thin air, and unfortunately, this lady sounds almost more sane than the politicians that we're dealing with. So some people are quick to jump on it. Again, it sucks that you have an inbox full of people who can't see through the nonsense. But it really doesn't surprise me if some lady comes out and says, I'm taking down these people, I'm taking down the vax pushers, I'm eliminating these charges. Some people might feel like, oh wow, finally somebody's here to save us. Like, I mean, remember,
based on what? She literally just came out and said, I am now the Queen of Canada. I am now the Prime Minister. And it makes no sense. And people just send this video to someone, and you're just like, this sounds reasonable. I think she might be telling the truth here. Leonarda.
That's where we are, bro.
I would believe her more than I would believe Justin Trudeau. So,
see,
whatever.
exactly.
That's where we're at. We can't vote
you guys are not giving me the support I need.
It's just
people show up, they're like, yeah, we won the election. So you know what? If some crazy woman wants to send out a Telegram group where she's the Queen of Canada, I'm cool with it. Because the only thing that makes somebody queen is that we all agree and recognize it. So if she gets a bunch of people to recognize it, hey, here we go.
14,000 is not enough. That's not even enough to declare a religion. I think it's 15,000 in Canada.
She's growing. Give her some time over here. You're too hard on the woman. She's trying to start royalty from scratch.
It's a good bit.
Group only has 80 people, so she's obviously doing better than a lot of people out there. And
you know what solved that, Eric? Foot photos.
We did have that early on foot fetish fan. I wish I could support you more in your outrage in this, but I've watched so many stupid things happen over the past year that this is not that outrageous, unfortunately, or for better or for worse.
Ugh, I hate you guys. You guys are both canceled. And I was to think I was going to promote Eric's book that finally came in the mail.
Yes, perfect.
Go ahead, Donatello.
Well, Jack, here's the thing. I'm down with this woman. I want to know more about her. I want to get her more followers.
Yeah, you just promoted her pretty good, so she might actually become the queen. I mean,
I don't have that much power.
Well, gotta start small.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. Let's pay some more bills here. Where did this go? Oh, yes. We have Leonarda, not to be confused with Jolie. When I was making the Instagram story to promote this, I said, not to be confused with Angelina Jolie. And then I was like, oh, wait, her last name's Jonie. So you can find her. Leonarda is funny, 6,200 on there. And I believe your Twitter handle is the same thing, correct?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay. And then if we jump on over to rebelnews.com, we have a special guest on my show tonight. He's not as handsome as me, but his name is Eric Butler. Critical race theory is mental gymnastics is one of his lovely quotes from the interview we did. You can catch that on rebelnewsplus.com or rebelnews.com/Andrew_says. We talked about so many things that I'm going to read it off the sheet. The new vaccine passport system that they're doing in New York for sporting events. We talked about that. We talked about basically New York being in decay in general. Critical race theory, as the title suggests. And Eric's favorite topic, which is what, Eric?
Is it my book?
Nope.
Caitlyn Jenner?
That's right. Eric's favorite Republican.
It's either Bruce or Caitlyn, whatever. Caitlyn, we'll go with Caitlyn,
That's right. We're on Twitter.
We're on Twitter. I'm sorry. I do apologize. But don't get me wrong. Her mom also misgenders her sometimes too. So I'm not alone in that. And right behind Caitlin is, of course, my book. So very special episode. It was fun stuff.
Yes. My book finally came, even though we're in Canada and it took 12 years to get here because, it's so far from New York to, there's only an Amazon thing like down the street. So, Leonarda, where is your book is what I want to know of New York. If you're from the Bronx, how did Eric beat you to this idea?
Well, I'm not a photographer. I do characters. So if you want to see the Bronx, I have a couple of characters that I play out. One of them is a Bronx fairy who reads books to kids and tells them the truth. And then the other one is an old-timey mystery detective that never gets around to solving any mysteries.
Let me try to download one of these because, we don't want to take the chance of us not being able to hear each other again.
Are you trying to download one of my murder mysteries?
Yeah, your latest post there. I'm gonna download it in a second. It won't take long. Don't worry. The next topic.
You should get the one that Eric would love. I'll give you the one that Eric would love. Let me send it to you in the.
Is it about Caitlyn Jenner? Wait.
It's
So
close.
Eric,
it's close. But
what?
I was gonna say this thing about Robinhood that you wanted to talk about. They've denied. And this is Robinhood, the stock exchange app, which we don't have in Canada. Thanks. Let's go crypto.com. No. And frankly, you've betrayed the stock market and the to the moon people and everybody like that by keeping Robinhood. Okay. Savannah Hernandez has Robinhood. You have Robinhood. Elijah Schaefer, I think, is Robinhood. Everybody's still using Robinhood, even after what they did. Robinhood on Wednesday denied placing a halt on stock trading for AMC, which is the movie theater, telling users instead to blame the New York Stock Exchange. So if they're now blaming the New York Stock Exchange, why did he do these interviews? Why did he do the interview with Dave Portnoy and not mention that at all?
Well, I don't know what's going on with Robinhood. I wish I could get out. I'm not going to sell my positions. I'm not going to get into another account. So it's kind of like I'm here. I'm stuck with an iPhone and a MacBook. Like, yeah, it would be nice for me to get off the Steve Jobs teat, but it's too late. They got me. All right. And I don't know what's happening with AMC, right? We saw it, was it January or something with GameStop? It looks like they're doing it again. And is Robinhood actually would they actually risk their entire brand to save hedge fund short sellers for a second time? I don't know.
Well, Eric, that you're asking that question as if the whole purpose of Robinhood is to be a stock trader. That's not the purpose of Robinhood.
Oh, she's getting into it. I agree.
You want to imagine it as a shell company for these hedge funds. They're not there for trading. It's literally like these hedge funds, Melvin Capital, all these places started Robinhood as a way to do their trades and whatever the heck they wanted to do. Their whole purpose was for them. So now what happened is they go, oh, well, let's make a little money on the side off these little plebes because they'll never figure anything out. Those people figure it out. Melvin Capital's like, no, this is our company. It's not about, oh, Robinhood is serving them. It is Melvin Capital. There's no separation.
Yeah,
this reminds me of...
we're all just getting played, and you can never win, basically.
This reminds me of talking to my friend about...
We can actually sue them, and that's a really important thing. We can sue them. We can sue the New York Stock Exchange. There will be a class action lawsuit. Did you guys hear that?
I did. I definitely heard that. And it actually... The idea of suing, I literally still have a lawsuit against Mayor Bill de Blasio, and the legal system does, let's say I'd rather do it the Bronx way. How about that? The entire legal system is like, oh,
Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, and Staten.
Yeah. You rapping?
That's Beastie Boys.
What?
That's Beastie Boys.
Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, whatever. Anyways, what were you saying, Leonarda? I mean,
well,
Jordana or whatever your name
is. It's called, do you want the law of the jungle or do you want the rule of law? Right? So law of the jungle is who's got the biggest stick. And these little dweebs that are sitting inside their offices don't have the biggest stick. That's why they're in there like, whatever the hell they're doing back there. But, we do live in a civilized, quote unquote, society for now. If shit goes haywire, hey, they're not gonna be able to run that far. And that's the thing about people. You got to understand, like, a lot of these people who are behind on these conspiracies, because this is a conspiracy to tank the price of AMC. They're not very smart. Like, they don't think in the long run. Hey, what would happen if I really destroy the economy? That everybody's going to be sad. They just think they'll be, oh well, I'll just be safe. I'll be fine. I'll pay someone. And you're like, you don't understand that when people can't eat, they don't give a shit about your money.
Yeah, I hope. I'm looking at it right now, and AMC, BlackBerry was doing well. Everything's tanking now. Even crypto that was all coming out of their little crash from the last week or two. All looks like it was climbing up slowly, and that has literally dropped off in the last 2 hours. So who knows what's going to happen? I mean, we'll just print more. I just say we just print more, and then it'll be fine. So whatever. I'm not worried about it.
The comments you're making, Leonarda, about Robinhood not being for what everybody thinks it is. I was having a similar argument, and I don't think he grasped what I was saying with my friend about WhatsApp and Facebook buying WhatsApp. They're not buying WhatsApp because they think it's a cool thing that people can use and really connect with, and Facebook really wants you to be connected. It's also they can mine the data of people so that they can sell it, just like they sold it for elections, just like they sell it to everybody who's marketing. If you look at your Facebook settings, which I deleted over a year ago, for these reasons, everything's by default turned on. Tracking your browser, tracking everything you're on Facebook, tracking your purchases, just so they can send it out and sell it to people, so they can create this gigantic profile of what they can sell to you. Now we're going to go to the next level soon, I think, with things like Neuralink, where we're planting advertising in your brain. I don't think it's a far stretch to say that they want to be able to plant messaging in your brain with something like that, but that's just my own personal conspiracy, my own personal hell.
I believe it. But if that happens, we should all just put two in the back of our heads. Can you imagine, not being able to? I mean, bad enough.
Is that a Kurt Cobain reference?
Ooh, too soon.
That's a Hillary Clinton associates reference. Everyone associated with her commits suicide. Two in the back of their head.
Well, we've got Leonarda's. I almost said Jordan again. Not gonna lie. We've got Leonarda's, and I'm sorry. I know. Consider, since that you're a comedian, you can take the gentle insults as.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
She's very soft, kind of like a softie. I think not very thick skin at all. She's already roasting one of the commenters, as though she's on stage or something, roasting a heckler.
We have to make them super chat us, Leonarda. We can't just let them have their opinions heard. Okay, let's look at her.
Stop getting free in here, you cheap bastards.
This is a capitalist chat room. All right, let's see her video that I have not seen yet. So let's take a look at the type of manipulative content she's putting out.
I'd like to take this opportunity on this episode of Kitchen Murder Mysteries to clarify to the public that I am, in fact, trans. I'm, in fact, double trans. That's correct. That's right, you homos. I was a woman, I transitioned to being a man, and then I realized that being a man was oppressive, and I transitioned into being a man who's a woman. How much more progressive do you want to get than that? This episode is certainly going off the rails, isn't it? Well, it's a good thing this is a Scotch whiskey in my glass. Oh, I should get home. All right.
Very progressive.
Glad you guys enjoyed.
I'm going to go ahead on a limb and say I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you just got drunk and decided to make a video.
No, everybody always thinks I'm drunk during those things. I'm playing a like drunk murder mystery detective who just is like just an alcoholic and says whatever comes to mind. You know,
that was pretty funny. I'm gonna get another one. We're over our usual limit here.
Can I just
I'm gonna go get another one. Go ahead, Eric.
So, are you permanently in Texas now? You're still in the Bronx? Like, what
yeah. No, we moved to Texas. We moved to Texas because stand up is really popping over here, and I'm getting booked on a lot of shows. I'm actually about to go do another show right now. That's why I had to do this. I had to bring my hotspot with me and everything, but everything worked out. But yeah, I moved to Texas and I've been getting booked like crazy.
Awesome. So I mean, you just got up and like haven't been back to I was from Brooklyn, but the Bronx. You just
from New York. Whatever. Yeah, no, Harlem. Yeah, we moved. Like we were kind of traveling a little bit, and then we figured out like, hey, Austin, Texas is the next hotspot for comedy. Let's go check it out. We came down. We did a temporary lease for 3 months, and then we were like, let's do this long term.
Awesome. All right, sounds good. Andrew, you got one more?
Hotspots and stuff. Like, we don't have this type of technology in Canada, you guys. It took me 3 weeks to get Eric's book, for God's sake.
Yeah. Well, you guys are on the way to communism, so
you're behind on the juice, the Rona juice as well.
I've been trying to get a PlayStation 5 for 7 months.
Like it's getting hot in South Dakota when it was -17. I never thought it would get this hot, and the AC is too loud to do while we're on the stream. So that's why you're seeing me glisten a little bit here.
I don't know what your temperatures are there. What if I told you it was 26 here today? Does that make any sense to you?
That's like some metric system stuff. I don't know
what you're talking about. We understand nothing that you're talking about.
That's fine. Maple syrup's being thrown at me. Igloos are being built around me. All that sort of stuff. I think. I think it should be up here now. I want to give it a second so it doesn't freeze while we're doing it. But so basically, this is a drunk murder mystery thing. The music is what gets me the most. So I just picked another random one. So let's check it out.
And so to wrap up tonight's episode of Kitchen Murder Mysteries. Dun dun dun. We have learned the very important fact that women commit over 500,000 murders every year because they are none other than money-grubbing whores. It seems that not much have changed since I was born 200 years ago.
Oh my God!
Oh man, I didn't expect it to be that.
System works, I guess. Oh my goodness gracious!
Leonarda, Cassandra, Angelina Jolie, thank you for joining us. Eric Butler, you can buy his new book on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Another thing that we don't have in Canada is Barnes & Noble. So that's a mystery to me. Also, I know it's a bookstore, Eric. So I'm not fooled on that one. Report and Opine on Instagram. Leonarda is funny on Twitter and Instagram. Go watch my show with Eric on rebelnewsplus.com. Last words to the special guest, DiCaprio.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks a lot.